As we know, Steph is the greatest shooter in NBA history. He's also one of the greatest NBA players to ever lace them up, acquiring 2 MVPs, 1 unanimously, 3 rings, 7 All-Star appearances, 2 scoring titles, a former steals leader, 50-40-90s club, and a revolutionary of the style of today's sport. Yet, he's one of the most disrespected players on earth. It's no surprise. The NBA media and fandom is led by narrative. It seems to be a new false narrative blossoming every year. And instead of challenging it, the media and fans take it and run with it. In today's video, I will be trumping one of those narratives. And that's the Steph is it clutch narrative. Skip Bayless and Max Kellerman has been the main spokesman / creators of this narrative. And it simply isn't true. I mean, there's so many stats pointing to why this isn't true, yet there's so many people that try to spin that narrative. First, let's start with Steph's postseason stats. Because if you let Skip and a lot of these Twitter keyboard warriors tell it, Steph apparently underperforms in the postseason. Steph averages 26.5 points, 5.4 rebounds, 6.3 assists, and 1.6 steals a game in the postseason. He averages more points in the postseason than Larry Bird, Kobe Bryant, Dirk Nowitzki, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Magic Johnson. These are all-time greats that are considered clutch or great postseason scorers. Rightfully so. When healthy, these guys stepped up for their teams whenever they needed them. But so does Steph. Yet Steph is the only one out of those players I named with a bad postseason reputation. How is a player averaging more points per game than any of those players named considered the lesser performer? Narratives. The first time I candidly paid attention to Curry was the Spurs series in 2013. I've always knew who Curry was. I've always been a fan of his game. However, those consistent injuries was killing my excitement for his potential. In game 1 of the series, he seemed like a man on a mission, knocking down tough shot after tough shot, trying to will his team to victory. Unfortunately, the Warriors will come up short and lose, but that doesn't diminish Steph's marvelous effort to step up when his team needed him the most. And that's the consistent theme of this video. Whenever his team needed him, he rose to the occasion, unless he was injured. And despite the narratives, it's been like that his whole career. April 24th, 2015. The Warriors versus the Pelicans, game 3 of the first round. The Golden State Warriors are down by 20 in the fourth. Curry drops in 8 to help them overcome an astonishing Pelican run. Included these.
Scouting, looking for Curry or Thompson. Curry lets Holiday go by, and Steph Curry hits a 3.
The basketball to go for the Pelicans.
Chance to tie it here for Golden State. Curry's got it. And Curry will let it go for 3, comes up short, offensive rebound, Curry again, and Curry hits a 3!
Steph hit 2 clutch threes to tie the game and lead them to overtime. It was a team effort to close the game in overtime. Steph puts up 40 points as the Warriors advance to the second round of the playoffs. Fast forward, the Golden State Warriors versus the Memphis Grizzlies, game 4. The Memphis Grizzlies acquired the momentum of the series by winning 2 straight games. Candidly, it looked like they took control of the series. They looked like the more dominant team. And then Steph shows up. He drops 33 points on 11 of 22 shooting, including 4 of 9 from behind the arc. Now this win was impeccable, simply because losing this game almost insinuates defeat. The chances of overcoming a 3-1 deficit is slim to none. However, Steph steps up to the plate and leads his team to victory. The Western Conference Final. The Golden State Warriors versus the Houston Rockets, game 3. Simply a man on a mission, with a chance to go to his first NBA Finals and also trying to start the momentum and win game 3 unlike the previous series. He drops 40 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists. Unfortunately, he got injured and the Warriors would lose the next game. Fast forward again, this time to the NBA Finals. Game 1, Steph drops 26-8. Wasn't that efficient? However, he got the job done. Loses game 2 and game 3. However, in game 3, he goes on a solo and stylish run to almost bring his team back in the fourth quarter. He scored a whopping 17 points. There were also top scoring around the basketball world that Matthew Dellavedova was a Steph Curry stopper. Steph would suddenly respond back to the claims with a 22 points, 6 assists game. That may not sound like a lot, but it was pretty efficient. He shot 8 out of 17 from the field and 4 out of 7 from the 3-point line, which was imperative, not only for Steph's mental, but also for the Warrior fans. You can see he was eventually finding his rhythm, and then game 5 happened. Easily Steph's best game of the series. Steph drops 37 points in Steph Curry's fashion. hitting tough shots over and over again. Most importantly, showing the NBA world that there isn't a Steph stopper. It just doesn't exist. Propelling his team to another victory, dropping 25 points and 8 assists. Despite being the clear-cut go-to guy for the Warriors, Steph doesn't win the Finals MVP. Now, most of us feel like Steph should have won it for valid reasons, but that's another topic. Steph averaged 29 points on 49% shooting in the last 3 games to help the Warriors overcome the Cleveland Cavaliers. Once again, being clutch, stepping up when his team needed him the most. But he isn't clutch, right? Coming off a tremendous MVP/championship season, the NBA world still had their doubts about Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. Despite jumping over all the hurdles sent his way, still doubted. That led to Steph once again being on a mission, putting together one of the greatest MVP seasons in the history of the NBA, leading the league in scoring and steals. He averaged 30 points per game, along with 5.4 rebounds, 6.7 assists, and 2.1 steals. Also breaking the Chicago Bulls record with leading the Warriors to 73-9 record. His season was so great, he was even 4th on the most improved of the year voting, while coming off a former MVP season. Steph and the Warriors will ultimately come up short and lose the finals. However, that doesn't undermine some of Steph's clutch moments in the 2016 postseason. Starting off with the Houston Rockets in a round 1 clash. He drops 19 in the first quarter and 24 overall in the first half. Steph looked virtually unguardable in that first quarter, also the majority of the second quarter. However, within the last minutes of the second quarter, Curry would seem to tweak his ankle. This would cause Curry to miss the next 2 games. He would come back in game 4, but would unfortunately get injured again. Fortunately, the Warriors would advance to the next round. The Warriors ends up winning the first 2 games against the Trailblazers, but will lose the next game. And then, here comes Steph. He comes off the bench for the first time in his career. He didn't start off that efficient, however, that's to be expected. He's coming off an injury. He goes 5 for 13 in the first half, and then he starts to find his rhythm again. He scores 10 in the fourth quarter on 4 of 7 shooting. One of those shots happened to be a clutch 3 to bring the lead within 1 with 2 minutes remaining. The Blazers score again. Curry comes back down the court and set Dre up for what should have been an and 1. Same sequence. Blazers score again. This time Coach Curry calls timeout. Resuming play, Steph once again set up another teammate. Harris Barnes hits a clutch 3 off of Steph's assist to tie the game. 111-111. They ain't get a chance to take the lead with an ISO play on Klay Thompson. But Klay does what he always does. He puts up solid defense to force the miss. Steph acquires the rebound, comes down court with a chance to win the game. And he misses. A frustrated Steph. Mad he missed a decent look at the rim. He then go berserk. He dropped 17 in the overtime, going 6 for 7 shooting from the field. Also breaking the NBA playoff record with the most points scored in the overtime by a single player. He then put together another marvelous performance to advance to the Western Conference Finals, dropping 29 points and 11 assists. The Western Conference Finals, the clash of the Western powerhouses. The Golden State Warriors versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Game 1, the Warriors lose 108-102. Steph led his team in points, rebounds, and assists, 26 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists. Those sounds like great numbers, right? Especially the rebounds and assists. 26 points isn't something to overlook either, but they weren't efficient. He ended up shooting 9 of 22 from the field overall and 6 out of 14 from 3. Not that rubbish, however, Steph just didn't seem like himself. It's like the knee injury was finally starting to take a toll on him. Game 2 comes and the Warriors win in 2016 Warriors fashion. They blew the Thunder out by 27 points and Steph dropped 28 on shooting 9 from 15 from the field and 5 from 8 from the 3-point line. Also drops 17 in the third. Pretty efficient night. Game 3, the Thunder is back at home. The Thunder demolished the Warriors 133-105. Steph goes 7 out of 17 from the field and 3 out of 11 from the 3-point line, dropping 24 points. Game 4 comes around and it looks like OKC is taking command of the series. The Thunder demolished the Warriors again, beating them by 24 points. The basketball world starts to count the Warriors out and basically says the series is over. I candidly can't blame them. The Thunder was looking like the more dominant team and Steph's outing in Game 4 seemed like they had figured him out. He finished with 19 points, shooting 6 for 20 from the field and 2 for 10 from the 3-point line. Game 5. This is a desperate win for the Warriors. If they lose this one, the series is over. Guess what Steph does? Exactly what the narrative says he doesn't do. Step up when his team needs him the most. He drops 31 points, shooting 45% from the field overall and 3 out of 8 from the 3-point line. Could have been a bit more efficient, but hey, it's playoff basketball. And he still got the job done, which is all that matters. Game 6. The infamous Klay game. As we know, Klay went bonkers, dropping 41 points and raking in 11 threes, which was a record for the most threes in the NBA playoff game at the time. Klay got most of the credit for that win, and honestly, he should have. However, we're not going to diminish Steph's clutch efforts in that game. Klay carried, but Steph finished. Steph drops 10 of his 31 points in the fourth quarter, including 2 back-to-back threes to tie the game, a floater over Ibaka to push the lead to 5, and a steal leading to 2 free throws to ice the game. Steph finished with 31 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists. Game 7, it was a pretty intense game. Steph drops a whopping 36 points along with 8 assists, by far the best player on the floor that night. Disregarded his knee not being 100%. Again, stepping up when his team needed him the most. Advancing back to the NBA Finals. This is the infamous series that started it all. There's no secret, Steph didn't play well. We could say it was the sprained MCL injury or simply just a bad series. Either way, Steph played inadequate for his standards. And I know we're here for Steph's clutch moments, but to be frank, there isn't any. He just wasn't himself in this series. Now again, we can blame the injury, but we also must credit the defense the Cavs played on him. The picking him up from half court, the physical play, and simply just forcing him into bad shots. Now the injury come into play because those bad shots are shots we see Steph make on a consistent basis. I mean, he couldn't even create space from the Cavs big men. And we know Steph, one of the greatest ball handlers / shot creators in the history of the NBA, still couldn't create space. But enough of that. You here for the clutch moments. After that devastating NBA Finals loss, the Warriors would assemble one of the greatest NBA teams in the history of the NBA, adding Kevin Durant to an already robust team. Now there wasn't many clutch moments when KD joined the team because KD was the main guy. However, there was a small portion where Steph had to remind the basketball world he is in fact clutch. Like being asked in the past, he steps up and becomes the main guy due to KD's absence. KD would unfortunately suffer a grade 2 MCL sprain. He would also suffer a tibia bone bruise. Steph and the Warriors would first struggle due to KD's absence. Within that run, Steph would shoot 16 of 56 from behind the arc, which is understandable. The team ran totally different when KD is the main guy. Steph would eventually get into rhythm, averaging 25 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, and 2.5 steals in the next 8 games. Not necessarily eye-popping numbers, however, you can see that similar pattern of Steph stepping up when his team needed him the most. The Warriors will win 8 straight. Against the Houston Rockets, Steph drops 32 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists to acquire a victory. He would score a riveting 12 points in the fourth quarter along with a dagger to put them up by 11 and stop the Rockets' momentum. The Warriors would now face the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs jump on the Warriors and go on a 15-0 run to start the game. The run did expand to 29-7. And then, the Warriors go on a 103-69 run. Yeah, Steph orchestrated the Warriors by cashing in 29 points and 11 assists. The Warriors would then win their last 6 of 7 games to end the season. Steph didn't have many clutch moments after that, simply because the Warriors didn't really need them. They were steamrolling everybody in the postseason. However, he had a few clutch shots / moments, including a clutch 3 in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals against the Spurs to tie the game within less than 2 minutes on the clock. He then dropped another clutch shot with the score being 110-111. This time it was a floater over LaMarcus Aldridge. Jump forward to 2019. This year he had quite a few different clutch moments, only because Kevin Durant would once again suffer an injury. This time in the playoffs, KD was diagnosed with a grade 1 right calf strain in Game 5 of the Warriors vs the Rockets in the semifinals. Steph does what Steph always do: step up. He ends the game with 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. Most importantly, drops 12 in the fourth quarter. Game 6. Game 6 is one of Steph's greatest playoff performances. It's also one of the clutchest performances in NBA history. With so much at stake, Steph rises up to the occasion and seals the deal. It wasn't initial though. Steph was struggling in the first half of the game. He was scoreless. He went 0 for 5 from the field. Also got into a bit of foul trouble. However, Klay was the complete opposite. He dropped 21 points in the first half, going 8 for 15 and 5 for 9 for the 3-point line. He carried as Steph struggled. The half ended up being tied 57-57, and then the Steph Curry show. He drops 10 in the third quarter and then drops a career high 23 points in the fourth quarter, along with 5 boards and 4 assists. So much at stake, the Rockets would beat the Warriors if they didn't have KD. Harden is better than Curry. Steph doesn't show up in big games. He sort of nipped all that in the bud with that performance. But of course, that wasn't enough to silence the Steph isn't clutch narrative. The Warriors advances to the Western Conference Finals to face the Portland Trail Blazers. Steph has one of the greatest playoff series he's ever had in his career. He averaged 36.5 points, 8.3 rebounds, and 7.3 assists a game. Game 1, Steph drops 36 points along with 7 assists. Game 2, Steph drops 37, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. Game 3, he drops a lofty 36 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists, along with 11 in the fourth to lead the Warriors to a 3-win and 0 losses series. On the verge of sweeping the Blazers, Steph put together his best game of the series. 37 points, 13 rebounds, and 11 assists triple-double to end the series. The NBA Finals. This would be Steph's 5th straight Finals appearance. The Warriors would face the Toronto Raptors. Not really going to break down what happened because it's really unfortunate. However, I did want to highlight Steph's 47-point game performance. This game symbolizes the makeup of this entire video. Steph stepping up when his team needs him the most. He didn't have many clutch moments simply because his team got dismantled. Every time Steph would go on a run, the Raptors would go on a run themselves. No, the Warriors didn't win the game, but that wouldn't stop Steph from trying to lead his team to victory. You know, saying Steph is a clutch is such a casual take. The only thing that's holding this narrative up is the dearth of finals MVPs that Steph has. However, you cannot say Steph underperforms in the finals. Steph averages 26.5 points with 6.2 assists, 5.7 rebounds. That's better scoring and rebounding than his regular season averages. There's no way you can hear those stats and say he doesn't play well in the postseason. Now, his shooting percentages are lower, but that's normal, especially when you're getting triple teamed and having the box at one thrown at you every possession. The lack of finals MVP argument just isn't as sufficient if you're really paying attention. Eye test would tell you Steph should have been a finals MVP. But eye test aside, his number speaks for itself. He's literally only had one bad final series. And to be frank, besides the averaging more turnovers than assists, it was sort of decent for a guy that's playing with a bad knee. But again, for Steph standards, it was a bit rubbish. Every other final series he had, he's literally played great at. So if your only argument for Steph being unclutched is that 2016 finals, your argument is invalid. I've shown you multiple times when he stepped up and put together runs to lead his team to victory. That's as clutch as it gets. But hey, that's the end of the video. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Do you think Steph is clutch? Do you think he's unclutch? If you're into this type of content, make sure you like and subscribe. I'm kind of new to this, so let me know what y'all want to see next down below. And I'm out. Deuces.